Sometimes like all you want to do is run. Hear me out.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is me, Ian, here in Beijing, and this is my number 5 video in my video essay series, which is kind of just me trying to make sense of the world and all the stuff that's happening while I wander around Beijing and China. Now, previously in the video essay series, I've discussed how America fears China, their success, because of the role model that China has become as evidence of another way to govern a country and to support the development and the health of the people in the country. I also spoke about big money in politics in the West and how that influences your choices, whether you know it or not. This makes us, the person on the street, act like a turkey voting for Christmas, because we essentially end up voting against our own interests. I also previously touched on how the media manipulates the message. Even Hollywood and the movie industry gets involved in softening you up for a narrative that might just sort of sleepwalk us into war and conflict, as we are told to hate our fellow man. I've also peppered the video essays with some information, and I've often left some questions hanging for you, the audience, to explore on your own. The core message throughout the videos in this series is for us all to be aware of the rising tensions, the reason for some of the tensions, and for us all to get clear so that we don't get ushered along into supporting a global conflict without thinking some things through with some more information. In this video, I'm going to touch on something that is also influencing the global relationships, and that is tariffs. So I am up here at a mall in Beijing that has a row of car showrooms. In fact, they're mostly electronic vehicle car showrooms, because here in China, EVs are big business, and the EV car industry is producing some of the most spectacular cars at a very competitive price. The Chinese EVs are so competitive in the quality and the price that other countries now fear unleashing this price advantage and the environmental benefit to their population so much. She's going to talk. She's going to talk because I'm in a wee dookie. As I was saying before she interrupted me, the governments and the leaders of these countries are so worried about unleashing the benefit. They have decided to punish their own people by holding back the availability of the high quality Chinese EVs, by restricting access to them, and also blocking them from the country, or taxing them with tariffs to the point that you do not get the benefit of the cheaper price or the better quality.
But if you don't want to tell me now.
That's quite funny. So I'm sitting in one of these relaxation massage chairs, but if you sit too long, then the chair pushes the massage thing up so that it makes it uncomfortable, so you have to change. So I've changed and I've came to the one that was in front of me. So as I was saying about tariffs, we're now seeing the narrative turn away from the benefit of EVs and solar panels, etc. All that stuff that we were talking about previously that would help fight environmental disaster, because what we're now seeing is that old narrative of save the planet from the destructive influences of us humans by fully engaging the green economy. That whole plot line is now being diminished because other big interests are driving their agenda, and that doesn't fit with that storyline any longer. And I'm one of these people that believes we should be fighting to protect the environment, even if the science in some cases is not exact. Talking again, because I don't think we should get to the point where the planet is absolutely knackered and we're like, yeah, we might have got that wrong. We should have maybe been a wee bit more serious in supporting Mother Nature and all that. Also, to be honest with you, I've got first-hand experience of the benefits to be gained from working on the environment and make sure it is supported and we worked clean up the environment, because when I first came to Beijing almost 8 years ago, the air was not good. But now, thanks to all that focus on improving that, I can tell you it is pleasant now living in Beijing, now that that issue is no longer a big issue and a lot of activities went into reducing the pollution that was in the air back then in the day.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago.
So I've come outside and it's very, very warm, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to stay out here. It's very humid, it's quite cloudy and hot and sticky. So anyway, as I was saying, the USA has taxed a number of items coming from China, from important minerals and materials, semiconductors, EVs, as I've mentioned, and also their component parts like batteries, solar panels, and again, their component parts, medical products, syringes and so on, medical supplies, even cranes. Yep, the big tower cranes at the docks, they've actually put tariffs on them. So yeah, I think it's partly because they keep saying the usual national security. I'm not sure if that's true, but for the benefit of this video, I'm going to ponder and talk around the EV industry and what the taxation looks like from a layman's terms. Also, just for the record, also looks like the European countries, in their ultimate wisdom, will follow suit and also introduce taxation, tariffs on Chinese goods. No, I say taxation, it is a tax, but they will call it a tariff just to get you confused. So anyone can buy an electric vehicle, an EV from China for, let's just say, $20,000. Then you've got a great deal. And if you can use that vehicle to benefit your company and reduce your costs, then even better. So this is an advantage to the whole world, and many companies and countries are taking the benefit of that. But when it comes to taxation, tariffs, and the USA putting tariffs of 100%, then if you want to buy that EV so that it benefits you and maybe your company, your workforce, and improve your profits, then you have to pay the $20,000 to China for the car or the truck or whatever, and then you have to cough up another $20,000 and pay that to the American government, to Uncle Sam. Actually, it's actually $20,500 you would have to pay to Uncle Sam, because I believe the tariff for EVs is now going up to 102.5%. So tell me, how does that make you competitive if you're a business in the USA that needs that car or van or whatever, and your competitor who's in another country can buy it for the jacket price and you're paying double? How does that benefit you, the person that is struggling with the cost of living crisis, because that additional cost is passed on to you through that company? Maybe if you stop and think about it, just maybe the cost of living crisis has been designed by choice. That in itself is a topic possibly for another video. Actually, when you stop to think about it, that's China doing all the hard work, making the vehicle, and America taking all the money. I think we've seen that before somewhere. So now that you get the idea of tariffs and how you're the person that picks up the bill for the incompetence, the lack of innovation, and the lack of competitiveness from the industries that are now running for cover and begging the governments for taxation and handouts to protect them, I just want to touch on a couple of bigger themes. First up, this policy of taxation through tariffs was introduced by the Republicans and built on by the Democrats. I used to think that the Republicans were the party that drove for war, were very much up for free and unrestricted capitalism to drive that innovation and competitiveness. And they also demand that little to no interference from government, crying out for small government. And they were also very much anti-green in their focus, amongst other things, such as law and order. Republicans supported the wealthy, the wealth creators, as they would say, who created the wealth for us all. So they, the wealthy, the wealth creators, need the tax breaks. You know, that whole trickle-down economics, blah, 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 blah. Now, I also used to think the Democrats were the opposite of that, progressive, up for innovation, and for supporting the people, the champions of the green economy, and very much the party that stood strong against pushing for war, global war conflict. But I was so wrong. I was so naive when I was younger, because now I can see I was that wrong, because it's just both parties. They're just there to support the machine and to protect the captains of industry at all cost, captains of industry in their country. Even if that cost is directly impactful on your wallet, and even worse, impactful on your well-being, or on your life, or even worse, on your son or daughter's life.
What about what the U.S. says about overcapacity? I mean, are those claims, you think, overdone? I mean, the Chinese obviously have been subsidizing and supporting the production of clean tech and the like.
They're totally overdone. I mean, first of all, and I think you reported on this when you mentioned my comments in Beijing on Friday, when it comes to green technology goods, in today's world that is getting hugely challenged by climate change, there is no such thing as excess capacity. We need all the capacity we can get to move away from carbon to alternatives. Shame on us if we don't have the capacity to make those goods at home.
So hot. I'm going to have to get back indoors, having a walk around there. So hot. It's hot out there. I'm in a car. Anyway, the other point that I want to touch on is what the tariffs indicate about America and American capacity for innovation, manufacturing, and for the position that America has in the eyes of the world, especially now that the advantages of the system of the petrodollar is coming to an end, and the whole infrastructure that supports the fiat currency system of the dollar is beginning to get squeezed. And also, just for the reference to my father here, who's no longer with us, he once said to me, history is read very quickly from a book, but is often made very slowly. But, he said, history is still made all the same. And the reason for saying that is because on the face of it, the dollar, the world's reserve currency, is not going to just implode. Anyone that says that it is going to do that, then they're just stupid. But it will erode over time. It will be a slow change in the system. History in the making, slowly, as my father would say. Getting some air inside a showroom here. But America is now moving into a system of protectionism with the increasing use of sanctions and tariffs. Remember, tariffs is tax that you pay. This is all government protectionism. This approach raises the price for everything, as I hinted earlier. And I understand that they're doing it to protect jobs, but how long can you keep that approach going, where the government supports the jobs of the population employed by capitalism? Sounds to me like socialism, if you ask me, or should I say socialism for the rich. I would say, in my limited working knowledge of macroeconomics, that is a very slippery slope of a system to keep employing that idea that you're going to pay people's wages through taxation and tariffs, and also sanctions. Eventually, they say you run out of other people's money, which is the right-wing phrase that they often say. The best way to protect jobs is to compete, is to improve on what you have and to make it more attractive to the consumer so that your product wins out and you take the profit from the market. And that essentially is the basis of capitalism. Or am I wrong? So what this says about America is that it is losing the battle on capitalism. It can no longer compete in some of these industries, and that is scary because the government in this approach is just papering over the cracks, and at some point it's all going to get exposed, and who's going to lose out? Us, the common person on the street, because we will pay more for things, and we will pay more to buy our cars and so on. We will possibly lose our jobs, and then at that point where we're getting angry and frustrated, we will be primed for, guess what? Yep, you've guessed it. We would be primed for global war, conflict. We'd be happy for that. Anyway, I hope America gets its competitive mindset back, because I think that is how we improve everything. When I say competitive mindset, I do mean in industry and design and manufacturing and so on, not war. I think America has always, was always, and is always being the leader on the war front. Oh, and by the way, the people that say I am anti-American, you are so wrong. I'm actually more pro-American than you, because I want to see the population of America be treated better, to live in a safe environment, and to be given the correct support from their government. Things like universal health care might be a good starting point. Anyway, I'm not anti-American by a long shot. I am actually pro-living, as highlighted by my anti-war stance. Anyway, I'm away to look at some more cars, even though I'm not much into cars. This is me, Ian, here in Beijing, wishing you well. Look after yourself, your family, and your community. And as always, peace out, take care. Catch you in the next video.